I'm sure you could.
Okay.
Touch your pee.
Going live. We're not on Amazon today, so I'll just tell you when we're going. 10.
Oh shit.
Oh God.
It's okay, that wasn't expensive
No matter where you're from, all around the world, it's one unique, one special vibe.
It's cute. Meep meep moo. Tim, what do you think we're talking about today?
Taylor Swift, for sure.
Good God.
What?
You ready?
What do you say? Yeah, go Tim.
Yeah.
3, 2.
What did he say?
No, I just I'm sure Taylor Swift is what
Welcome
we're talking
back,
about today. Hello,
folks,
everyone.
wherever you're at.
Wherever you shall be, or
We're
are.
either live or live. And
There it is.
anyway, here we are now. Steven's gonna try and pin our goal today.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, we're gonna try to do that.
If not, that's fine. We also we're doing a giveaway, of course, at 10,000. At 10,000 likes on TikTok.
Right there. Right there.
And we're giving Star Worms away again today. Freeze-dried gummy worms.
Yeah.
They're a little sour, but not really. If you're a sour connoisseur, they're not
They're
sour.
not sour. Yeah.
Um,
Don't worry, I can't pin it, but it is showing up. So our goal is, what is it?
100 tiny dinies.
100 tiny dinies.
Come on, folks.
Yeah. So
We're looking for
I'll pin the Star Worms.
some thumbs up to the tune of 10,000, and we'll do
this.
our. You can do that by touching your screen. Tap 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 tap. You can do it more than once. But anyway, get us to 10,000,
It says we're sold out. Don't listen to it. We have it. I just need to add more to
Oh,
our
no.
inventory.
and Star Worms it up. Okay. Excuse me. What do you think we're talking about today, Tim?
Taylor Swift.
Surprisingly, no. I did
Actually,
think about it. Yeah, it wouldn't be terrible.
No, I mean,
Steven, what do you think?
well, I came up with it, so it's
Oh.
fair. Remember?
Wow.
Yeah.
What a bragger.
Yeah. No, it's like the one time I've come up with a topic, and it did take 2 tries. But we are actually talking about just jobs today. You know,
All caps.
all caps, jobs, JOBS, everything about jobs. You're gonna hear a lot of fun stuff that we all used to do, stuff we hated, stuff we loved, etc., etc. In the comments section and the live chat of wherever you are watching. Make sure you're answering these questions too. If the engagement's fun, and if you are interesting enough, I'll read it out here. Hey, thank you for the nice shirt comment too. Yeah,
Yeah, thanks,
This
Aries.
is,
Appreciate that.
This is Tim's
yeah.
awesome invention.
We'll be talking about jobs and everything except Steve Jobs.
Right.
And we want you guys and gals and people to interact with us. So let us know if you got any cool jobs, bad jobs,
Yeah.
appropriate jobs only. Okay.
You can push the limits as long as it's like just,
Tim got that.
yeah, you can push the limits, but just be
Okay.
real tricky about it.
I don't know, it's freaking- Okay, Steven, here we go.
All right.
We're starting off easy with dream jobs.
Right on.
And I was going to do this later, but this is actually comes first, when you're a kid.
Right.
And they're like,
right.
hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you draw a really good picture of your job of choice. Do you remember what you dreamed?
Yeah, it was first
Are
thing.
you talking about when you were a little kid?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
My first dream job that I ever thought of was paleontologist because I was
Whoa.
obsessed
With dinosaurs?
with dinosaurs, Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Okay.
That was one of my first full words, which my mom was like, "Oh man, he's gonna be so smart." Sorry, mom.
Oops.
Oopsie. Yeah.
He likes pictures just like a lot of other dumb kids.
Do love me some pictures.
Tim,
I surprisingly I wanted to drive a big diesel truck. I don't know why. I think it's just because one of my
Diesel
dad's
truck.
friends had a really nice diesel truck, and so it had a bed in the back, and I got to ride with him one time from Texas to Oklahoma, and I just loved it. I thought it was so cool.
It is pretty
How
cool.
long of a
big,
drive was
big
that?
trucks.
Like 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
That's a lifetime for a kid, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So I
Big
don't
truck
know.
driver. I
You
can
have to
see
go,
that.
like, 7
3
years
hours
old.
either way in this state to get out of this state, basically.
I've
so.
seen something where this kid wanted to be a trash truck driver, and it must be because there's some show now where there's a trash truck
Well,
driver.
also, I think the idea of hanging off the back.
Maybe that's it. But anyway, there's this
Also,
kid.
they make great money because they deal with some disgusting
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, right.
Shout out to the
Trash trucker drivers.
trash trucker driver.
I will say the people around here are dope. Like
They're awesome. They're
yeah,
quick.
really, really good at it
Yeah.
and nice. My dream job, since no one asked, was to be an astronaut.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I learned later, probably from football, but I had concussions, so I get sick, like seasick, real
okay.
bad.
Right.
So apparently in space, like I would just be throwing up
Yeah.
constantly.
There's this ride at Disney World that simulates a fraction of what they go through.
Mm.
And there's 2 levels. There's like the green kids level, and then there's the yellow, which is a little more real to form. Let me tell you, I will never set foot on that again because Haley and I were like, oh, we'll do the yellow.
Yeah.
It felt like my face was melting.
It doesn't feel good.
No, it didn't hurt, but I've never had that feeling before because the G-force was like, and they just like the pressure. So mad respect to people that put up with that. That's a lot.
But that was like your childhood. So it's like it changes when you get like 14, 15, and 16. So did you still want to be an astronaut then?
No.
Okay.
I switched her up.
I still want to be a truck driver.
You still do?
Oh, I'm kidding.
There's still plenty of time, Tim.
Never.
That's quite
say
all right.
never. When I was in like high school, like my dream job was like touring musician with the band I was in,
wow.
which was complete pipe dream. So,
Yeah. Sounds cool.
yeah, sounds cool. Not great.
All right, let's do this. Job history, personal job history, first job through now,
Okay.
and you got to keep it concise. I wrote that in here
Yeah, I saw that.
incorrectly.
Especially, I wasn't gonna say anything, but you did correct it. I guess I'll go first, and I'll just
There,
wrap it. So
You made
do
it
you want-
bold because I know your job history is going to take the rest of the episode.
It's not that bad, but okay.
Okay, first job. And how old were you roughly? Or...
So I was actually 14, working for a family friend.
Oh, okay.
Just helping. We worked at a machining shop that made parts for NASA and Boeing. I cleaned the machines and was working with the AutoCAD and everything like that.
Damn.
And then my first real job when I was 15 was McDonald's. So I went from here to here. No offense to McDonald's workers. It's not as easy as people make it seem. After McDonald's, I just did a kind of a collection of, let's see, I worked at a pizza place. I did landscaping. What else did I do? I worked at Hot Topic, which could you not tell by the everything about me that I used to work at Hot Topic. After that, I went over to, oh shoot, what did I do after that? I worked at Target. That was fun. I actually really enjoyed that job.
They're nice to their people
Very nice to their
and
people.
mean to their consumers.
And mean to everybody
or
else.
their vendors.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
everyone
then
else.
and then after that, I worked for a moving company. I worked for like a small construction home renovation company, and then I worked at FedEx. And then here I am. So that
Dang.
yeah. And when it comes to like best and worst moments, we can get into that organically. I guess the worst thing I ever had to do outside of just delivering during peak season at FedEx, because it was just a lot of volume, really late nights, heavy, you're by yourself. When I worked for my like home renovation company, we had this guy that wanted egress windows, so those big escape windows put in his basement. And we had to demo saw for a week straight through his foundation, just with very little ventilation. So you're just like concrete dust like that. The house that was born in the early 60s, so there was always a little bit of like, what's in this concrete while we were going. So that was probably the worst. One of the best was easily just, I remember one time at Target, we got taken to because I was a receiving manager, so I qualified as management. We got taken to a Rockies game, and we were up in one of the suites and everything was complimentary. That was pretty fun. Yeah.
Dang.
Yep.
What about people in the chat or people welcome in
Yeah.
the chat? Welcome. We're talking about jobs, jabs, and of course we're giving away candy later, but we need your support. So tap away, give us some love. We need 10,000 likes, and we'll give a few few bags of candy.
A few pieces of candy. All right.
like the
What
parade.
about your job history, Parker?
Well, I didn't have a job growing up. I helped my dad on his hobby ranch.
Which is a job basically,
a
but you
lot
just didn't get paid for
A
it.
lot of work, no money. And then that's not really true, kind of. And then I actually in high school, I kind of got this stomach issue, so I had to quit my favorite sport. And so instead of playing 2 sports, I was done as a senior. I pretty much had like 3 seasons or whatever before I was going to college. So I got my CNA license because I was going to be a doctor. And that was the most disgusting thing. And I'll spare all the details
That's a
of
tough
CNA
job.
training. Yeah, shout out to anybody who's being a CNA. There was a lady on my ward, call it, that had been there for 20 years. I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I have a
sad.
friend that's out doing that in like a different country.
Oh really?
Yeah, she's.
I
doing
wonder
it,
if
and
it's
she's-
better or.
I'm assuming it's
Within a
better.
month. Within a month. Okay, so this is really bad, but because I was a male and could quote lift things, I was on like the ward with where people like couldn't support themselves.
Oh shoot.
It was awful.
Ugh.
So then after that, I went back to school or training to get my CMA with an M, so I could hand out meds.
Yeah.
So it's like way easier to use your mind than to use your muscles, or it was for me. So then I shifted to like the Alzheimer's unit where people had memory problems,
Right.
and it was more of like mind games than literally like lifting and moving people around.
Right. Yeah.
So I like
Right.
that better. It still wasn't great.
It's still got to be hard.
Yeah, and then I went to a hospital and I worked in an ER for a while. That was pretty dope.
Yeah.
My favorite memory from there was this surgeon that no one liked. Not a surgeon, ER doctor that nobody liked.
Yeah.
This lady had this shard of glass in her thumb, like no big deal. And he was being this,
Still sucks.
I mean, yeah, and he was being this big jerk anyway. So he pulls the shard of glass out, and what he didn't realize is that it was like impeding an artery in her thumb or in her finger or wherever it was. So it squirted out and shot him like all over
Oh
his
my gosh.
jacket, and he didn't have like he should have had scrubs on, but
Right.
he had like his normal like polo on like a jerk. Anyway, he just got splattered. It was so great. Oh yeah, the nurse and I both laughed at him, and that wasn't good.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Let's see. After that, I went to school, and I didn't have a job for a year or so because I wanted to survive.
Right. Yeah.
And then I worked in a genetics lab, really, really fun. And I studied tribolium beetles
That's
and
interesting.
anterior posterior head development and embryology.
Okay.
Yeah. So we did that, got published, and then we went to KU Med, and I didn't have a job there. My job was to survive,
Right.
and I barely did that, and then I dropped out after step 1 and came to work for and with Mom and Abby.
Yeah. Cool.
So, boom. And then 6 years later, we built a candy brand, and here we are on
Yeah,
a live
and
show.
Here we are. And what was the best and worst moment?
Probably the worst moment or the ups and downs, the unforeseen, call it hit in the gut you get. We had one today.
Yeah.
And the best moments are pretty much no matter what, you have people you trust, loyal people around, smart, adaptive people who can overcome problems. It's not the first time we've had a problem, so it's becoming easier and easier to
Right.
either see it coming or handle it or compartmentalize it. So anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really.
That wasn't very
I
concise.
saved the best for last. Tim, get into your job history. I'm super interested because I've heard some stories during lunch of what you used to do.
I have I've worked in a video store, video store.
Right.
So I worked in a video store, worked in a Oklahoma City zoo.
Wait. At the video store, you would do the graphics on the outside of the glass. Where
On dry erase boards.
Dry-
so
dry-
I used to draw any of the upcoming movies.
yeah,
which
all
is
the
what-
movies,
That's really cool.
any of the like sales, right, or any of the
Yep,
things that
anything-
they're featuring.
Okay.
Anything
Yeah.
that was coming in, like
He
if
would-
it said Batman, I would draw like a picture of Batman.
He would
Batman
draw
and
it, yeah, in the anyway.
And then
he-
people were like,
skip
"Hey,
that
you
part.
should do graphic design," and that's what.
And then
That's what ventured-
What was your first job? Though?
Okay, my very first job was actually a video store.
Oh, so
Yeah,
that was,
and then
or
he-
was
yeah.
a
No,
video store?
my very first job was video store.
Okay.
And then
I was
they
working
told him to do the drawing part, and he
Right.
did, and he's really good. And they're like, "Oh, you should consider graphic design."
So
Oh,
I was
cool.
like 15 years old, made $3 an hour. I used to retrieve movies, go put them back on the shelves. I went from there to working at the Oklahoma City Zoo. I worked in the concession area, which I hate food ever since then. Would never.
Oh,
don't-
yeah.
Just it's tough
Food's
dealing
tough.
with people.
Food is tough.
Yeah, food is tough.
People are
worked
tough
at
with food too. They're hungry.
The Oklahoma City
hangry.
Firefighter Museum.
I didn't know that.
I used to handle their firefighting training videos, so I used to have to like
Oh, wow.
send them out and document them.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing because I'm not laughing at you. It just shocks me that there's still more jobs that Tim has I never knew about.
And
Okay.
so what else from there? I had so I went from the firefighter museum to back to a movie theater, then back to the video store. Then I worked as a busboy at a Mexican restaurant, which was another
Oh, this
2-day
has
job.
has several stories in it, even though it was only 2 days.
Yeah, it was 2 days. It was bad. Believe me, I learned more Spanish in 2 days
Oh, yeah.
about
All the bad
being
words.
a gringo and vamonos and
And they were mad at you because
Yeah.
you were slow and
I wasn't
dumb.
slow. They just wanted to like make me go faster.
You were
because they
slow
were
and dumb
mean.
because 1, you couldn't speak the language.
Yeah,
2,
exactly.
you hadn't been trained, and 3, they didn't have the patience.
Right.
So they were basically treating him like total
See, I
garbage.
didn't- when I worked for the landscaping company, we did a lot of the landscaping work at the Denver Union Station remodel back in 2012. So we put like the trees in and all the plants and everything like that. And I worked with a lot of Hispanic guys, and they always the worst part is my boss was my stepdad. He was the supervisor. So there was
Nice.
but they were cool about it. They definitely made me get in the ditch though, like the 8-foot ditches for the trees, and they'd
Oh.
be up there, and we were doing this experimental thing with this rock that CU Boulder had like completely designed. It was like small pieces of like broken river rock that they coated with mineral enriched dirt and like soil,
Okay.
and they would throw that in the tree trench, and that way the trees could just continuously cycle, like they're like, you know, their waste, and like the water would get absorbed and everything like that and everything. But I remember like every single time they're like, all right, we're gonna need somebody in the trench,
They just all look at you.
and they're like, him. And yeah, so it was good though. They were nice to me. But yeah, that's always tough when you get into a job and there's like a barrier there.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was pretty rough. Then I worked as it's like someone's trying to keep it concise, Parker. It's
Yeah,
like
hurry up,
it's
Tim.
fine.
it's then I worked as a mountaineering guide,
Oh, yeah.
and then I worked as worked for the newspaper in Salida, Colorado.
Right. Cool.
To put together the Leadville paper, the Fairplay paper.
Oh,
and the Buena
nice,
Vista paper.
nice.
So I used to do all their
That's sweet.
graphics.
That's cool.
Worked as ski resort.
That's dope. Oh, really? Which one?
I worked at Monarch.
Oh, really? Ooh. Okay.
So I used to average 40 days of skiing a year. So that was really nice.
Dang.
Yeah, that's great.
Then what else? There's a couple others in there, but
Skip to the good ones. We
yeah.
got
And then I
the-
worked for an advertising agency. Oh, I worked for Glamour Shots.
Oh,
used to
really? I
air-
didn't know that.
I used to airbrush photographs.
JCPenney? No, I'm just kidding.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, dude,
It's
all
like, hey,
your-
I have bags under
all
my
your,
eyes.
We should do
high school graduates,
We
right?
should do that. You know those old JCPenney photo shoots where they like they put you in on like the giant
The
teddy
table
bear and
or
there's like all
whatever.
that kind of stuff and like that. We should do some of those.
It'd be good.
So
Yeah.
that was I did that.
Timmy-
But this
even
was old
knows how to do
school airbrushing. So
Oh,
this
so
was
this is
not
not
digital.
computer.
This
Oh.
was not digital.
Oh,
I
shoot.
used to do it with
Right.
an airbrush.
Analog.
Yeah.
You might.
Yeah. Then I worked for an advertising agency in Oklahoma City. We used to do Hitachi construction equipment,
Yeah.
Right.
and then we did. Then I worked came to work at the Independent, the Colorado Springs Independent.
Yeah.
I worked there.
Okay.
And then I worked at Graham Advertising.
Yeah, I've heard a lot
worked
at
at-
lunch about Graham.
Well,
Advertising.
yeah, all of the recent jobs come up way more than the older ones.
Right. Yeah. And then
Yeah,
here
you
you
can
are.
Yeah, I can tell you stories.
All right. What do you? So just give me one from that you can think of, best and worst
Yeah.
of all of that.
Yeah.
When you're 16, the worst question you can ever get at a video store is literally, "What's new that's good that's in?"
Yikes.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to try to answer that, and then you'd tell them what was good that's in, and then they would never get it.
Yeah,
It's
they're
always
like, no.
subjective, and then
Yeah,
they just
exactly.
rent Turner and Hooch again. you know?
Yes. So that's
Yeah. We're the
that's
same thing.
probably one of the worst, other than working at El Phoenix, which was the Mexican restaurant.
That was just a culture barrier you weren't
Yeah,
ready
it was
for.
just it was
And
just
they weren't ready to accept you either. It sounds
Right.
like.
well, and
Right.
I'll tell another story though, just real quick. But it was
Yeah.
like when I worked at the movie theater, the gentleman who took over as the general manager of the theater, like another lady hired me, and I'd been there for almost a year.
Yeah.
The guy that took it over, that became the manager, knew my mom because my mom worked for immigration, and he was an Iranian. And he did not like my mom, and he did not like me at all. Like,
Man.
was very mean to me, and I was just like, I didn't care. But he would try to make me do things like climb a ladder 30 feet in the air to change the billboard with a movie on a
amazing.
rainy, icy night. And
Oh
I was
my
like,
gosh.
I'm not doing that. And he was like, well, then you don't have a job. And I was like, I don't care.
Wow.
He was just really mean to me. But my mom knew who he was,
Right on.
which was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So.
All right, folks, we need some more likes. 2,000. We might be a little behind, but
No, you're about 2.1. So, but as I held up the sign, there's your answer.
get in there. Yeah.
I do gotta, since he called me out. Hi, Josh. Josh said hi about 5 minutes ago, but and then also for the Star Mix thing, I guess we should probably answer this because
Yeah.
it keeps popping up. So, first of all, not Star Mix. We ran into copyright issues with that, so
Yeah,
it will not be called Star
unfortunately.
Mix. And two, there never was a prize. we're having people
yeah.
help
Trying
us
to
and
engage.
trying to engage. Sorry for any kind of confusion. What is the name we settled on?
Meteor bites.
Meteor Bites. That's
Yeah,
what they
get
will
ready.
be called.
Maybe this spring we'll bring those out.
Right.
But we're still working on them a little bit
Right.
in house.
Anyway.
Okay. Well, you ready for some job questions?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I pulled a few, and then anyway. Okay. All right, here we go. If you were a professional taste tester, what type of food or drink would you specialize in?
I'd go soda,
Soda pop.
which is horrific for my teeth and everything. But the intake of food just it worries me, because granted, you have more medical knowledge than I ever will, but I would assume if you were drinking a soda, that wouldn't mess with you as well. Actually, no, the sugar. I'm gonna still stick with soda. I don't need to elaborate.
Yeah, don't
Soda.
elaborate. You just
Yeah.
like soda.
Soda. I do
You'd-
like soda.
You'd be a professional soda taster.
Soda taster. Yeah.
Man, I feel like I would do gourmet food. I would be the food critic that went to the
Yeah.
Michelin star and was like,
Too much pressure for me.
meh, not that great. Meh.
I'll have to go with what you said. I
Oh,
would totally
Soda.
I would totally
soda.
do soda.
Pop.
Because remember when they used to do the whole taste test thing,
Like the
when you
blind test?
yeah,
Like the
blind
Pepsi
taste
thing?
test. And people will go, you look at the videos and people go, it tastes the same. I'm like, no, they don't.
They don't taste the same.
When we
at
do
all.
taste testing before and after we freeze dry our R&D products, Tim is always the one that's like he's gonna give it to you straight. Like I remember we did the strawberry puffs, and it was like before we had them, it was like they're too synthetic.
Yeah, it tastes
And I was like,
fake.
that's perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
And then we did it, and we freeze dried them, and they were actually better after we freeze dried them. But yeah,
Yeah.
no,
we do
it's-
have a lot of taste tests in house.
We just had an awesome one last
Just had
week.
some freeze dried cookie dough bites.
Desserts and
Yeah,
and
looking forward to that.
Yeah,
There was 10 options. Right?
yeah. There was 10. There was a lot.
Almost too many in my opinion. And then we had blind taste tests where everybody, by blind I mean you didn't really get to see what other people think. You just write down your own.
Right.
And it was pretty. Normally there's some mixed results, based on taste preference. But this time it was pretty global, and people either hated stuff or loved it.
There was one that we won't
One
talk about yet.
One in particular.
But there was one in particular that got pretty much like 5 out of 5s across the
It got
board.
a rocket symbol and a launch now
Right.
button, and anyway, more on that later.
Later.
Well, okay. If you could have a fictional job from a movie or TV show, what would it be? The AI bot said a wizard, and I didn't really think of that as a job, but
You were just what's the what's the
or-
salary
or-
and benefits package of an or
or an
or
or,
was it-
yeah. How much? They don't make much, remember?
No,
Like
there's no
apparently
way.
in the book they kind of mentioned that, didn't they?
Right.
Yeah, you don't make crap.
I would assume
but
that
it's
they don't.
sought after.
Right. It's more of a status symbol, that kind of deal. I'm trying to go a little out of the box, not something typical. So
Okay.
I was gonna say, it would be a really cool job, and there's no way you'd get paid well, but you'd have the crazy, like
Panda head
Doc.
head on the.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Poor thing. Doc Brown's assistant from Back to the Future. Like if he had an
Oh
assistant.
yeah.
I love the Back to the Future movies. And
Yes.
Dude, just take me through the entire trilogy, and I would be here for it.
Plus, he had to do a lot of work before the show to get a car. Like he had a.
Yeah, and then he had to sell fake uranium to the Iranians, and then he got killed for it. So then you'd have to be responsible with that. But also,
Other than that,
we'll do it. Maybe next week we'll do movies.
all right.
So, yeah, shoot, maybe. But okay,
Tim?
I would take that.
Tim, what do you think?
Fictional.
Fictional job from pretty much anywhere, movie or TV show.
I always thought about like fighter pilot. You can't beat being a fighter pilot. So
In a
like
fictional
Tom,
job?
Like
Yeah,
like
like-
Maverick.
like Maverick.
Yeah,
Okay.
because if you die, it's like, whoops, there's the story. It ended.
It's kind of like you.
Whoops.
It's kind of like you also can't be like any cooler than a fighter pilot. It's like
Yeah, that is
No
kinda
matter
the-
what cool job you have, you could be like, I'm a brain surgeon. The other guy gives a
Yeah,
go.
that's
I'm a
cute.
fighter pilot.
Yeah.
It's like it trumps everything.
I
Only thing
thought Brian Regan said people who walked on the moon were the only people
that are probably better than a
yeah, you
fighter pilot.
you can't one up somebody who walked on the moon.
Walked on the moon.
And a fighter pilot is like right under
Yeah,
that.
it goes fighter pilot, Everest, moon.
Yeah, I can
So
agree
there's
with
a-
that. That's
There's an Everest party, I guess I've read about this, somewhere in Europe every year. And most of the people that go there are like shaking because they have so much like damage from climbing, and
it's a
coming
crazy.
back down.
I've been seeing a lot.
Just because
of-
you came back down doesn't mean you're quote successful.
Right, exactly. Well, and like I've been seeing a lot of, I don't know why it's been trending a lot lately on Twitter, or sorry, X, whatever. And they've been showing like videos that they took of people walking up, and they just look down this crevice, and there's just like a perfectly preserved
Person.
body right there, and I'm like, that. I mean, besides the physical toll.
Yeah, the mental.
The mental of
like-
just seeing like hundreds of like there's like a certain body that's used as like a mile marker. Anyway,
yeah.
so fighter pilot. Okay, what about you?
Man, I'd like to do the Deep Space Odyssey thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
Are we
like,
talking like what?
talking-
What? Okay, so this is a good thing. What universe of this fictional
This one.
like? So no, well, like would it be? So not like aliens, obviously, or anything like
Yeah,
that.
aliens. So I don't care.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we got to get there somehow, and
Right.
our tech's pretty slow, so we might need a booster. I don't know. Whatever.
Right.
I'm here for it.
Okay.
Beam me up by my chest.
Okay. So Deep Space.
Deep Space
Explorer?
Odyssey. Yeah.
Odyssey? Okay,
Yeah.
Cool.
Gotta get something done. Not sure what it is.
Interstellar,
Sure.
like
Ugh.
Interstellar.
Yeah.
As long as you didn't pick like Gravity.
The Interstellar is a little different, just
watching
because it's such a
Gravity.
mind
Movie's
bender.
intense.
I'd be like, wait, where am I? And am I
Right.
awake? And no one likes our show, dude. This is sad.
Well
It's
done.
stagnant.
Corey says asteroid mining would be dope.
Yeah.
There you go.
That'd be cool.
Friend of the show, Corey. Good
Thanks,
to see you
Corey.
back, bud. Yeah, we got to get some more likes or no Star Wars.
No candy. That'd be sad. So, asteroid mining is actually happening with robots, but it'd be cool to like go there, and,
Like once, get Steve Buscemi on your side.
or maybe like we're gonna be the robot. That'd be kind of cool. Like, don't need to breathe anymore. Hee hee. Okay, strangest job you've ever heard of, and/or would be willing to try for a day.
This is weird because you actually, I think, have done one of the strangest jobs.
I have.
I think so, or at least maybe you've seen.
Oh no.
So you know when cows get too bloated, and they like poke them with that thing, and it's just like.
Yeah.
So that's
okay.
the strangest job
So
I've ever heard of.
So large animal veterinarian.
Yes. And then the answer is absolutely not.
You
And
would
it's
not
not
try
because
that
I'm
for
like,
a day.
oh, it's gross. It's I have so much empathy for like animals.
You
Like
wouldn't want to help them out.
I still let spiders out here, or like if I see one
That's
walking
fine.
on the
They eat
sidewalk,
bugs.
yeah, and like all that kind of stuff.
It is
like,
tough being a vet. I'll say like our
Couldn't.
yeah no.
Couldn't do it, but definitely one of the strange. I didn't know about that. That they're just like they put like a big old straw in them. It's like, and the cow's like nice, and I'm like,
Like
what? Like no. So that's
Yeah.
one of the strangest things I've
Okay,
ever heard of.
so here's some down low about the bloating cow.
Okay,
Okay, so cows have 4 stomachs.
right.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I knew that.
They're ruminating, which that's like a definition. So the rumination means like they have to break down the food over and over and over
Okay.
again, like several times.
Right.
Well, some of the food that they eat builds gas in their gut, especially if they eat like a lot of man-made stuff like corn or not man-made, but like man-fed stuff
Right.
like corn or whatever, fill in the blank, rich diet stuff. And then some of them have a tendency anyway. So then they get bloated because of that gas that's being built and sort of like in a way that they can't get rid of. And so there's pretty much 2 options. One is you put something down their throat that helps. And then if it's too far gone, you got to do the puncture thing, which I wouldn't recommend because that's life threatening.
Oh, so it's not like a leisurely like that's not like a leisurely thing.
No.
Yeah, I guess
No, they're
poking a
not
hole in an
they're not
animal.
feeling good. It's like when you go to the ER, it looks fun from somebody else's perspective, but the person involved's not having a good time ever.
Right. That's why they're there.
Yeah.
Okay. All
All
right.
right.
So
Okay.
what's your strangest job?
I
and
don't know.
Would you be willing to?
I feel like the strangest job I've heard of are, and it's not that strange because it's so commonplace, but like the oil rig workers that get
Oh.
dropped off in the middle of the ocean, and then they're there for a while and they're doing whatever they do. And no, I would not go out there and do that either. Nope.
Tim.
Surprisingly enough, and Parker may have heard of this before, but I was listening to the Osborne podcast,
Yeah.
and Jack and Ozzy had ended up going to, because they did this tour across the United States, okay, where they just went together, just like father-son thing. Have you ever heard of a body farm?
Yes. Oh my God.
No, I have not.
Yes. Okay. Tell
maybe I
Parker.
have.
I know.
Yeah,
I
go
know
ahead.
exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
Oh
You
my
as a medical
God.
person,
Oh,
it's
no.
where, and apparently they have one in Colorado, up in Denver, or near Boulder or something like that. They have an area where they put bodies in
Like preservatives or something.
varying degrees of decomposition, and then like study like the bugs that they're pulling
Oh.
off the bodies.
You
Oh.
can see it on Google Maps. I heard.
Yeah.
You can see it from like they when they were taking like some aerial shots.
So when you're a medical professional and you are the county coroner, usually you have to have a medical degree, but you don't often have to be the coroner, especially in a rural area.
Right.
So you take this training on bugs and basically how you identify how long someone or something has been deceased is by what is trying to break it down.
Right.
No, I haven't heard that, but it sounds
Body farm.
smelly.
Sounds
Yeah, and I don't know if I
smelly.
would do it, but at the same time, you often hear about like how death
curiosity.
smells and how it's so distinctive, and even to the point that that's one of the things Ozzy
Oh, yeah, I
even
bet.
mentioned. He said it was so. He said I can even smell it.
Like
now."
once you know, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with smells is like, again, it's the only sense that's directly connected to your brain. So when you have that memory, it's like
Right.
stuck there really well,
I,
especially if it's negative. Like
yeah.
that.
I see. I I could never, because like I've seen a body that wasn't just like somebody passed away and it was an open casket. It was a car accident, and I've seen somebody that deceased, and it just like changes like it changes you seeing that kind of thing, especially in like a violent collision and
This
everything.
is a candy show, Steven.
I know, but I'm just saying that like, so the idea of like
Talking about candy here.
walking out to this body farm and being like, this one's been here for 4 months.
Yeah.
This one's been here for 8 years, and it
Takes
just
a
like,
little bit of your
yeah,
personal weight. We've talked about this even
Yeah.
when I was in the medical arena, and now I'm not.
Right.
My threshold for either being grossed out or for being whatever intrigued has totally changed.
right.
You just get used to whatever your job is and what you see.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. Anyway.
next. Good golly.
Sorry.
Sorry, I
about
went
that
down a dark
digression.
road, but
That
you
was-
were
no,
just
both
saying
of
that's
you
the
were
weirdest
going-
job I've ever heard.
Tim's got a guy making him do stuff, climbing ladders in the rain. Dang. Okay. Steven's seeing death in person. Okay, if you could time travel to a historic period and work there for a month, when and where would you go? What job? I know where I'd go.
Come back to me.
I would go to the Greeks or the Romans, whoever had the shared pools, and I would be the
The pool boy.
pool boy.
How many
Yeah.
times a day do you think about the Roman Empire? Oh my god.
Parker every 30 minutes.
Every
Yeah.
30 minutes.
Oh,
Okay.
boy.
Okay. I mean, yeah. Okay.
All right.
Tim, do you got any answer for that? Because to me, if you put the word historical, sounds awful.
Yeah,
Just
it's not
all
going
of
to
it.
be that great.
All of it. It's terrible.
Yeah.
If you study history, everything.
Yeah, you're
is
going
awful.
backwards.
Right.
Well, unless you study alternate history,
right. Right.
which I know Tim loves alternate history.
Yeah. I don't know. I think working like what it would be like working like a bar or like a bartender like
Oh,
in
yeah.
the 1800s.
Like the
Like-
Old West.
Yeah.
Oh,
like a
that's cool.
saloon.
Okay.
Dang,
my
that's
friend
a
of-
good one.
A friend of mine lived in a place in Poncha Springs called the Jackson Hotel,
Okay.
and it's a historical hotel that apparently many famous people have frequented over the years.
Okay. Yeah.
There's an actual bullet hole from Frank James where he took
Oh,
a pop
shoot.
shot at his brother, Jesse James.
Right.
As
right.
he was going up the banister, he actually shot. You can put your finger in the hole. It was like a 44.
Oh wow.
And I always imagine like what that bar scene would have been like when that happened.
There's a vote to bring duels back.
I mean, I don't want to go off. We might
Yeah.
have to do history next week and just.
I
talk
literally
about
saw.
fun stuff
Oh,
in
I have some history here. I got
Okay.
historical jobs. I got
because
more.
the funny thing about duels is like one of my favorite things about it is like when they would miss.
Aaron Burr
like-
shot me.
Don't start me on Hamilton. I hate that.
That's from Big Daddy. You know.
I know, but like
Yeah.
even then, like.
Okay, next.
But I didn't even get an answer.
I know.
My spirit.
Anytime you get whiny, we're moving on.
I just historical period.
Man, the
it's
gun saloon sounds
the
so
Wild
dope.
West does sound just kind of like a good time.
What about the Indians? Native American Indians. I would go for the ones that knew where the hot springs were.
So, but the whole thing is like, what job would you have if you were?
Well, if I was
with
an Indian,
them-
I'd have a job. I mean, it depends on how old I was
I
and
mean,
my
Native
sex.
Is it Native American or is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Native, either way.
So
Well,
I guess
Native American.
yeah, like I would like that because it'd be really cool to like learn like the weaving and like the hunting and everything like that. Like so, what?
Well, you're not gonna learn that in a month.
You're gonna
Bet.
learn the weaving, huh?
Bet.
He's gonna learn the weaving. I'm gonna go hunt a buffalo.
Okay.
Steven can't wait to weave.
I was trying to not be like, because I know
don't
me
even
and I
need to
wouldn't be able
hunt.
to kill an animal. So
I
I'd
was
be,
thinking-
I'd be back home.
I was
I'd
thinking,
be
like-
back home making baskets and sandals. Bet. Knit the shit out of a shirt for you.
What about like I was even thinking like collect the medicine or the
No!
the be the god.
I'm gonna
dang.
tie-
I'm crying, man.
I'm gonna tie grass to other grass.
You've
and
never
make you a
seen-
sweet hat.
You've never seen a buffalo hide like this guy.
He won't do the animals, so you're out of luck. It's gonna
Oh,
have
it's
to be
only
grass.
it's only grass weaving.
No, yeah.
He's
He'll
a
make-
I'm not
vegan.
gonna kill an animal.
No, you don't gotta kill him, but you're gonna.
Oh, if like my
You
You're
gotta.
gonna use her skin.
my
Yeah, you
husband
gotta-
brings it back to me.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta pull your weight, dude. Oh my goodness.
Weaving. I know who I am.
He's gonna be
So-
he's the vegan. He's
so-
the vegan
Yeah,
grass knitter.
yeah.
Steven thinks he's going back to help this tribe out, and they're gonna kick his ass out day one.
They'll turn my hide.
They're like, "Look,
into,
dude,
look,
yeah,
I'll
they're-
be an awesome lean-to.
They're like,
one
let's
day."
scalp him.
Yeah.
That'll
I'll make
be
a
his
great
job.
warning. Yeah,
You're
I'll be
gonna
on a
Oh,
post.
he'll be a pike.
I'll be in a cage, just like banging the tin can or a weaved mug. That's what I tried to weave. It was
Keep-
a mug.
Keep the fire alive. Keep the fire lit, you peasant.
Yeah, I know it. I
Okay,
know my.
well, at least you know who you are.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
Good. Oh, man. Okay, well, I haven't laughed that
We-
hard
we
since
might-
I was a little girl.
We might need to clip that one. That might be our first clip, and we can share that.
Oh, man. Okay, I got nine difficult jobs by dude I found on the internet, Gabriel Varela, maybe. Might say it wrong.
Sure.
Anyway. And there's some on there that I think,
We're gonna disagree with.
yeah,
Yeah, I can already tell you number one.
not good enough.
No.
So here's his
I
list.
Might agree.
Here's his list of 9, and then we'll dissect it a little bit.
9 what? 9 toughest-
Difficult
most difficult
jobs, and they're current jobs.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to go for it, Steven? I'll let you read them.
Okay, so he's got number one air traffic
They're not
controllers.
in order.
Oh, I thought this was
No,
okay.
no,
so
no.
this is just.
Just 9 tough
Okay.
jobs.
Do you want me to? I'll list the first one. We'll talk on it, or do you want me to just go down the list and then we'll go?
Let's just go down the list, and then we'll see what
We'll
comes
just
up.
go. Okay, so number one that he's got here is air traffic controllers.
Pretty stressful job,
Pretty stressful job.
Yeah. especially
Um,
in big airports.
Oh, we're giving out Star Worms today, folks.
Oh yeah, Star Worms over there. 10K.
Freeze-dried.
We're like 7K
No one
away.
likes us today. That's fine.
Yeah, so I mean, unless somebody's gonna break that.
Freeze-dried
Yeah.
gummy worms, and they're sour, and they're mini, and they're delicious, and they're
'em.
brand new.
Brand new.
And we need 10,000 likes, or no one's getting any candy.
Good night. Tim's messing with the
It's like
contrast.
the
Yeah,
Sorry
maybe
about that.
maybe the tinting will
Yeah,
attract them.
Yeah, it's like I don't look good in natural light. Okay, so
Yeah.
air traffic controllers,
Okay,
surgeons, yeah,
yeah.
military personnel, obviously, yeah,
especially if they're active.
yeah, it's not a reserve guy.
Yeah, the tank
cleaning
the
the-
tank washer doesn't count.
Shitter's full. Like military personnel. Okay, firefighters. I would definitely agree with that. Social workers. Ooh, that's sneaky difficult.
Yeah,
That's sneaky. You don't think about it, but yeah.
that's like the mind thing that you were talking about with
Mhm.
the dead guy you saw. Like you might want to go talk to somebody
yeah.
who might have a history in social work. A lot of social
right.
workers can sometimes they'll flip over and do like psychology type stuff.
Right. Astronauts, yes. I do like this mentioned special education teachers. Kaylee's
Yeah.
sister works with some of the special education kids.
Did
at
you
one of
guys
those
ever
schools.
have to do that in school?
What do you mean?
So when I was in school, when I was in elementary school, and then again in high school, there were certain days a week for a certain like 9-week period where we would go into the special education class, and we'd be paired with one of the students in there, and we would interact with them for like their class period. Did you guys ever do that?
No.
I think we had like a buddy system where they would
Yeah.
come into our
Oh,
class.
they come into your
which
class.
is basically the same concept, but yeah.
I remember, so I got to be friends with my pair or whatever,
Right.
partner.
Right.
And what's funny is, like, you kind of break that barrier of being polite,
Right, and then you just like
and you treat each other like crap, just like you would
just,
your friend.
Just absolute garbage.
Okay,
and like
so-
they'll throw it right back at
Oh,
you,
yeah.
which is hilarious.
Yes.
But they don't lack. They're not burdened by like, oh, I should probably be nice. Like they'll go for like the deepest
deep,
cut,
just
and it's
yeah.
the funniest thing.
They'll go for the jugular. They don't
Love
care.
them.
So the
yeah.
person that I was partnered with was actually the brother of somebody in my class, like my normal class. So he and his
Okay.
brother had special needs, but was still, in my opinion, like high functioning.
High functioning.
Yeah.
Okay.
But still, he needed a board and a communication board, and so the board
Right.
would have sort of emoticons on it, and that would give him like a genre of what he's trying to say.
Okay.
And then the longer you're around him, he he doesn't really speak, but like his poor speech is discernible,
Yeah.
so you can start to learn with him.
Yeah.
So I would mess with his board when he was when he wasn't looking. So when he was supposed to say I want to eat, it'd say like I want to take a nap or something, and then he'd get really pissed off. And anyway, it was just this whole deal, and it was hilarious. And the teacher finally caught on that he couldn't communicate, and it was because I put a huge obstacle course in his way. Anyway, I can't remember what he did to me, but I'm sure it was plenty.
I hope he got you back. Good,
Oh, he
'cause-
did for
yeah,
sure every
absolutely.
day. Yeah, I was anyway.
And we should state that it was all in good fun.
All in
Like,
good
it wa-
fun, yeah.
It wasn't like you were bullying.
I wasn't
yeah,
bullying.
somebody.
Yeah, my partner. Great,
all right.
great friend.
What
anyway,
else we got here?
okay, minors.
Minors.
Yeah,
Easy.
Did
I would
easy.
actually throw that down on your next topic that we're going to cover, is that's one of the hardest jobs ever.
like in history.
Right. There's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
pretty significant period in West Virginia back in the 1800s where they just were battling for like their lives. Literally, like companies were trying to come in and like basically grind them up like a human meat grinder, and they literally got like bombs dropped on them from the U.S. Air Force. Like it was the first time we did bombing was against our own miners. Anyway.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oil rig workers. This is like one of the most obvious, like, no brainer on
Yeah.
the list. Like, if you've watched any video,
I watch
of them,
videos, and I'm
it's insane.
yeah, they keep popping up, and I keep letting the algorithm
I would get
go,
pulled into
run
one of those
wild.
drives so fast.
Yeah,
I'd get flung around.
and these
thrown.
guys,
easy.
however big you were the day you got on the platform, you have to gain 20 pounds.
Right.
They're just ripped. They look like Greek gods out there, and
Right.
really dangerous.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, watch some oil rig videos where they're like disconnecting.
Dude. And
one-
it's just still going.
It's
like,
still going, and
everything's
they
still going.
connect the next thing, and there's oil just all over the place. They got chains. They're like wrapping up the chain, like super crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely get in there. Okay, not listed on the list, not mentioned on the list, but needs a shout out. Any that come to mind?
Police officers.
Yeah, that's on the list for sure.
The-
I had 4 on there.
I have one that wasn't listed. It's granted, thanks Discovery Channel, but crab fishermen in the Bering
Any
Strait.
sailor.
any like northern
Any
sea
sailor
kinda
in cold
situation.
water.
Yep.
I would say I would add sailing in general, just because
Period.
we're not supposed to be out there
Right.
you're on a moving
Right.
thing all the time. It's not dry, not warm. Anyway,
I'd say farmers to some degree because it's hard work and they don't get paid a lot.
boom. I said farmers,
what
ranchers.
Kind of farmers? Because Parker's got dairy farmers up there.
I
which-
said dairy farmer in
Right.
general, or in specifically,
Right.
because the hours. They have to
Yeah.
get up really early. They have to do it 7 days a week,
right.
and
No days off.
yeah,
I would
that's-
agree with your number one on your list, psychologists. That's a sneaky one because the weight of taking in trauma,
trauma. Yeah,
insane, like
yeah,
constant.
for sure.
Well, and then trying to come up with a diagnosis, not knowing all the underlying things. It's like
Exactly.
3 people could tell you the same story or they have the same effects, but all 3 got there a different way.
Yeah. Your mic is picking up your tapping.
Yeah,
Oh,
don't,
sorry.
No,
don't
you're
tap
fine.
on the desk. Kevin Spacey over there.
Hear me?
House of Cards.
Yeah, no, I know who you're talking
I
about.
don't. Anyway, yeah. Hey, there's a whole list. I don't need to.
Yeah.
Anyway.
There's always a list.
Okay. Yeah, those are the ones I had.
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
Okay.
So
Okay, we're doing it. Jobs in history.
We're gonna do a
I don't know
lightning
why
round.
we do all these like grotesque subjects. We love
because we're guys.
we love candy and talking about
And
gross history.
yeah. Okay, so do you want me to read these?
Yeah, get in there.
So jobs in history, we're gonna lightning around this because I see there's a few of them. Per Matt Lewis in Wikipedia. So number one
and
this,
Chat GPT.
and ChatGPT. So this isn't in any order. This is just me listing. So jobs in
yeah.
history. Can we say these are like gnarly jobs? Like
These
they're
are
pretty-
not good jobs.
They're
yeah.
not good jobs. Okay, so up First is wool fuller, which I didn't know was a thing.
Me either.
The job of a wool fuller required marching
Yep,
on
marching.
the spot in a vat all day. It's like crushing
like
grapes.
crushing grapes.
Oh my
but
gosh.
there's an added twist.
Okay, that was boring and tiring, but the perfect liquid to remove dirt and grease and whiten the wool was stale human urine. Woo! So added to the tramping all day, your feet were soaked in old wee. That was the
Like
cost
that
of
Old wee.
So no bathroom breaks.
You don't need it.
Well, it's supposed to be old, so it can't be yours.
So an old wee.
Who's
probably-
gonna know?
They
That
set
was-
up some catheter device to offshoot it and let it age for a day. I made that up.
Oh, okay. That was the cost of the finest cloth in Europe.
Yeah.
So it was just urine.
Which is
soaked.
kind of happens a lot in history where things that are disgusting are somehow
turned around
more
into
expensive.
the highest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So number 2 is lime burner. Now, if you don't know, lime is a mineral. Because if I hear somebody say, "Oh, like lime, like the fruit,",
The fruit.
no, lime the mineral,
Lime, the
rock, basically. Like God. Okay.
chemical compound.
Chemical
Okay.
compound.
Here
All
we
right.
go.
So
All right.
lime has many uses.
Not to be eaten.
Right.
Although you
don't-
could eat it,
but don't.
but don't.
Okay.
Not a citrus.
Crushed and heated to about 800 degrees for several days, it produced quicklime used by tanners and dryers.
Dyers.
Dyers? Okay.
Yeah, people who dye for color.
Okay, cool. Soaking quicklime in water created slacked lime?
I guess.
Okay, slacked lime, which was useful in mortar and whitewash. Besides the heat, a lime burner's job was terrifyingly dangerous. Quicklime is caustic,
Yeah, means
highly unstable,
gases that'll kill you.
nice, it's toxic, and reacts violently to water.
Yeah, violently to water.
Looks like it's going to rain today, bub.
Yeah.
Get off the line.
Like, what if it's hot down there? It's 800 degrees
Right.
and you sweat. So
Okay.
anyway, what happens?
It can spit steam and even explode. It was so dangerous that it sometimes was used as a weapon, thrown at an enemy to cause painful burning in the eyes, mouth, or anywhere it came to contact with sweat. So actually, there is a famous lime mine
bomb?
explosion or
Oh.
disaster in history. I remember reading about it once. It's insane.
I would assume it's real bad because it's hydrophobic or whatever.
Right. So
Okay.
Number 3.
Number 3 was like literally there was a whole list of jobs that contain things that are, in my opinion, disgusting. That would, the reason why they're dangerous and harmful is because the people involved in them would get sick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so these are just listed as disease jobs. Chimney sweeps.
From the lung problems.
Right.
Oh yeah, the problem I didn't mention this is
Okay.
that a lot of the chimney sweeps were children
Right.
because they're small.
They were small and they could go in there, and then when
Yeah.
the thing would collapse on them, yeah.
Whoops.
Again, lots.
Anyway,
of stuff. Night soil collector.
yeah. So people, especially, I think one of the Louis 711, make it quick, came up with this idea. Basically, rich people would have their toilets cleaned on their behalf, and they would do it at nighttime.
Right.
Yeah. So,
So they weren't just going
So-
out after dark picking up dirt.
Yeah.
They were picking up poo poo.
yeah.
Gong farmers. I don't know what that means.
I might have flipped them. Either gong farmer or night soil collectors were people who would go into the trenches, like into the sewages, and they would
Okay.
go and like treasure
Hunt.
hunt. I think that's the night soil collector.
Okay.
The gong farmer, either way, I might flip this around, but one of the other, one of them is the person who goes around to the elite and changes out their toilets, latrines,
Okay.
and the other person is a gold digger.
Out of poo poo.
Yeah.
Rat catchers, we know that one, especially
Yeah.
with like the bubonic plague and
Yeah.
everything like that.
Yep.
Resurrectionists, corpse thieves. There's so many good dollops
Yeah.
on
Corpse thieves for
on
sure.
that. And leprosy attendants.
Yeah. So somebody like a nurse
Yeah.
for somebody who had leprosy.
Yeah.
Read the Bible and figure out how leprosy goes.
Yeah. Okay.
In social settings.
My God. Yeah. Okay. So number 4, powder monkeys. I actually know about this.
You do? I didn't
I
know this
do,
one.
I do.
Tim,
So-
did you know what a powder monkey is?
No.
Okay. So in naval warfare during the Age of Sail, Young boys known as powder monkeys were responsible for carrying gunpowder to cannons on warships, a dangerous task during battles. Yeah, so it was just young little lads running gunpowder.
For people who like to read, there's a book, Gates of Fire, maybe.
Yeah.
And that's what the movie 300 was based off of.
Yeah.
Tim, have you read that book?
No, I've not read.
You would love that. Okay. Anyway, the reason I'm saying this is because there was, quote, a warrior, right, like a Spartan, and then every Spartan warrior had a sidekick, and they were usually children or teenagers, boys. Excuse me. And their job was to support the warrior, so they would give them an extra sword when their sword broke, extra spear when their spear broke. They would, hand them all these things anyway.
Yeah. Fun
Okay.
little fact: the movie 300 is a nightmare for historical accuracy.
Yeah, not good.
There was not only 300; there was
No.
like 10,000 Spartans in
Yeah,
that battle.
or just like the demigod that they created.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
cool movie though. In
Fun
fact,
movie,
the book
stylish.
the book is, I think, somewhat accurate,
No, the book is,
and
but
if you read the book and watch the movie, they're
that's
not very
that's-
similar.
That's what happens when you let Zack Snyder.
Not
direct
very
something.
similar, but
Stylized and
both are
great.
good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so matchstick dippers. Before safety regulations. By the way, I know we don't have time, but when you get another horrible job, is look up the Radium Girls.
Oh yeah, it sounds
That is a nightmare. Matchstick dippers. Before safety regulations, workers had to dip wooden sticks into a dangerous mixture of chemicals to create matchsticks, which often led to debilitating health issues. And that's why, I read that description and immediately, one of the
thought
most
of
famous,
radiation.
basically the Radium Girls, when they were using uranium and irradiated paint to make things glow. So they would be painting these clocks and these watches and these aircraft panels and everything with this glowing liquid.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you do when you need to straighten your brush? Is you
They lick it.
lick it,
lick
and
the
so
tip.
their jaws were literally
Oh, just
crumbling. Their bones inside their body were
Yeah.
disintegrating.
Some of the radiation pictures are disgusting.
Horrific. Anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, first of all,
Wow, love candy.
nightmare. yeah, nightmare.
Love candy though.
The last thing we got here is treadmill operators. Now, it's not what you think.
That's what I thought was literally people testing out the Norditrax.
They're just eating it.
They're just running on these things that haven't been tested yet, but
Right.
that's not it.
Okay, so in Victorian prisons, inmates were often put to work on treadmills, grinding grain or performing other tasks while walking on a treadmill as a form of punishment. So that does sound pretty awful.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
I hadn't heard of that.
Nope, that sounds terrible. And then, again, for the lightning round here, we're going to bring it back to candy. So we've got a couple of sections here. So candy jobs.
Candy jobs.
The first subsection is dangerous, and they're listed as sugar boiler, candy puller, and candy cutter. And the last one sounds absolutely horrific when you think of it in a dangerous sense.
Yeah, I feel like all of these candy jobs, when they're automated, become dangerous. Like when you're cutting licorice with your scissors, you're fine. But when you're cutting 60 pounds of licorice at once with a hydraulic
guillotine?
press, with
Yeah.
a guillotine hydraulic press,
Yeah.
that's becomes a little dangerous. So I guess a lot of the dangerous jobs in candy had to do with heat. So hot sugar being poured, being glazed, being dealt with in some way.
What is a candy puller?
So some candy candy canes have to be stretched, and they have to be
Oh.
hot enough to be stretched. So you're dealing with a really hot product that has to be dealt with under time sensitive.
Before it starts to.
Before it gets stiff and
Yeah.
you can't
Okay.
play with it anymore.
So we've got high pressure is our next thing, and I can tell there's a personal thing
Yeah, you
with,
like that.
with owner.
Yeah.
Chocolate temperer, health inspector / officer, and then label designer and printer.
That's Tim.
I see. I got left off
Yeah,
this.
you're not on there.
I'm not. I'm
Yeah,
not
high pressure jobs
Yeah.
are ones like owner, whatever.
Right.
That's not real. The chocolate temperer is the person who has to make sure that chocolate is the right consistency, and if it's wrong, temperature throughout like the process, and if it's wrong, you have to throw the whole batch out.
Oh, that would suck. Oh, that is stressful.
Yeah.
Health inspector is obvious. And
Yeah.
then Tim, go ahead and speak for
Tim,
a second
what's
about
what's the problem
label
with
designer
label
or
designing?
printer and like that stuff.
I would I mean, if you're talking about like the
I thought
the press
specifically-
itself might be. If you're talking about like the automated type of press, it's the same thing. It's like they're big moving parts
Big
on
runs.
a press. They're
It's high
dangerous.
pressure if you screw
Dangerous,
up.
They're high pressure because if something's designated like to be on a press for, it's probably just high stress. Like stuff's I got to be on the press, off the press to get the next thing.
We
on the
make
press. And then if you screw it up and
You
have to
screw up.
start the whole process over, it's just
Oof.
like the candy guy, the guy who's
chocolate
mixing it and
guy.
trying to keep it the right temperature.
Right.
Anytime we have a bag change or a nutrition label or any type of bag review where we have to do it again, it's a new plate fee,
Whole
new
new
setup fee.
going
basically.
from literally from
And
this
you order like 20,000 to
this.
100,000 at a time.
is like a whole process.
Yeah.
Like a whole process. Like it looks very minor, but
Right.
like there's a lot that goes into getting this bag to look this way compared to
Like Tim and I like
a base.
Tim has taught me this, but we like doing things that you can go back online and change like instantaneously.
right.
Like, hey, there's a mistake on our address on our product catalog. Okay, whoops. Here's a new one. But like when you order 60,000 bags,
Yeah, and then it shows up
and
and
it
you're like
shows up with a giant pink slash on the front.
right.
You're like, oh, I can't use these at
Yeah.
all.
Okay, so let's get into the
All right.
fun section, which is literally what we're doing right now.
Yes.
Content creator, photographer / videographer, influencer, taste tester.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, self-explanatory.
Duh.
And I think we should focus on that last one, the taste tester. That's a surprising fun, but it can also be dangerous.
The influencer is also sounds fun, but you also deal with a lot of problems and
Yeah.
a lot of people, not nice people.
Right. So
That's
be
tough.
nice, people.
Be nice, people. Eat
Like-
candy.
Stop yelling at me. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
All right. Last but not least,
Boring. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to list these three and then kind of like explain. And also, guys, you've got like 5 minutes left on this show, maybe, and
Yeah.
you're at 5.8K.
might be our first episode.
It might
with
be our
no
first
candy.
one. We don't give anything away, but that's the way that the candy crumbles. Anyway,
Yeah, those are the rules.
boring is candy wrapper / unwrapper, lot coder / labeler, and then conveyor belt operator. So obviously a conveyor belt operator is just so the thing with all this is it's
Mundane.
mundane, monotonous. You're doing it over and over.
Yes.
We really should have pulled somebody from MCP to
Some
come
people
talk about
like
it.
this. I will say that I like some of these jobs to an extent.
I agree.
It allows you to have some internal creativity
Right.
because you're doing like you got your job down.
Right.
Allows you to potentially have some focus on something else. Like some of the people who work for MCP have other endeavors that they're
Right.
thinking about or
Right.
want to get away from,
And they can
or
kind of just
use this as
Right.
as a way to help us make money and also kind of like not tune out, but kind of segment your brain a little bit.
arguably lock in
Lock
while
in.
they're functioning on a task that is so streamlined, and it's just like as simple as like with our lot coder, we have a machine that puts lot codes that are necessary on every single bag of candy. And if you just lay it down at beep 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 beep, you can be listening to a podcast, you can be thinking about something else in your head and you just beep 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 beep, but then when you hear beep 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 beep, then you're like, uh-oh, we gotta refocus back in. But it is nice to have that, monotony and everything like that sometimes. So that would cover a lot of the candy jobs, and
Yeah,
that kind of is a good way to like wrap things up. And
get it?
yeah, and so I hate to say this, guys, but this is our first episode with no giveaway.
Yeah.
And it's not that we didn't try.
Hey, we tried our best.
It's okay.
And we weren't even close.
Right.
So
I mean, we got 6.5K.
if you really want candy, you can order some.
You mean you
And
can buy
You
it?
can buy it.
We don't just hand it out for free.
Not all of it. And then you could potentially join us and Steven specifically tomorrow,
Right.
and we'll ship out your orders and maybe give some Star Worms away to people who purchased.
Right. So how that works is I'll be packaging your orders. We package all the orders we get through TikTok, a couple on our website if they come through. I grab a couple of labels at random, and we just throw a small sample pack of goodies in there. So it's just completely random, no need to enter or anything like that. Well, actually, you enter a chance to win something by purchasing something.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a little extra like give and go, and it'll just be me tomorrow. Parker's got some stuff to take care of, so I will
Shucks.
be running through that myself. So expect a lot of talking. And
Tim
a
will
lot
be
of
there.
That. Yeah, Tim will be there. He'll be filming and trying to keep me on track. They're furiously trying to get this, but
Yeah.
we are out of time, unfortunately.
Sorry, folks.
Sorry.
See you tomorrow.
But you guys, you're awesome. Make sure you're following, doing all the things. Follow us here on TikTok, Amazon, the whole deal. And join us next week. We're either going to be talking, what did I say, history, or we're going to be talking
history.
movies. Those were the other two. But
Yeah, something movies, something.
thank you
something or
guys
other.
again, and we'll see you tomorrow morning
Yeah.
at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time.
Goodbye.